disappointed.
Okay. Rajdeep, you mentioned, and I'm just now trying to look forward. You mentioned that, this probably was the right time. He wasn't having a great time with the bat, and probably this will now allow him to really concentrate on his batting. How do you think that plays out with an international cricketer? If he lets go of that captaincy, how does that allow him to get better as a batsman? And in Virat's case, can we have the same logic, considering he really enjoyed his test captaincy or captaincy at any format?
It's a tough one, Nikhil. The jury is out on that. You look at Ricky Ponting, very successful Australia captain over a long period of time, eventually gave up, like with Virat when his batting started declining, became a batsman under Michael Clarke, but was never able to recapture the form of Ricky Ponting at his peak. You could argue that we've seen the peak of Virat Kohli as a batsman. I'd like to believe not, because Virat is very fit. And I think his fitness will take him to the next 4 or 5 years, and possibly his great desire and hunger to be recognized as possibly the greatest ever Indian batsman along with Sachin Tendulkar. So I'm positive about that. I just wanted to make one last point there, Nikhil, which is that the problem is the BCCI has no concept of a transition. Look at the ad hoc manner in which all of this is happening. We are now at a stage where we don't know who's going to take over from Virat very clearly. There's so much of talk of Rohit Sharma, but Rohit has been in and out in terms of his fitness. KL Rahul, I think it's still too early to put the burden on captaincy on him. So who's your captain? So the one thing that troubles me about the way in which all of this has been handled, there's been no concept of a transition, because there's been too much of confrontation between BCCI and Kohli and a lack of communication, as we saw with the ODI captaincy. And that's where the BCCI, I think, has got it wrong. This should have been a very smooth transition, considering that we've been such a successful test team. I'm not so sure how successful the transition will be for the team. For Virat himself, I just believe he has so much of self-belief that you will see Virat Kohli once again scoring big runs. That's maybe my hope, but I'd like to believe that Virat Kohli has this unique ability to prove his critics wrong.
But Rajdeep, just to follow up on that, you're absolutely right. It's not that it's going to be a bed of roses now that Virat has decided to give up captaincy. We don't have anyone in waiting, and this is something that BCCI doesn't look at. But just to play devil's advocate, maybe they were looking at grooming someone, and they thought that Virat might continue for a few more years, and this has come as a bolt from the blue, where Virat himself has decided to let go of that test captaincy. For all you know, they thought maybe 3-4 years more he'll continue, and KL Rahul could be groomed on that front.
I'd like to believe that, except the events of the last few months have really made me believe that there is a section of the BCCI that wants Virat out. I think that Virat had become bigger than the game, almost, in the eyes of the BCCI. And as we started off, we said BCCI doesn't want any cricketer to be bigger than the game. They didn't want Sunil Gavaskar, even the great Kapil Dev. 1 year after 1983 winning the World Cup, Kapil Dev was removed as captain. This culture of the BCCI, that no one is bigger than us, is part of the problem why they've been unable to achieve a successful transition. Let them now not blame Virat Kohli. Virat, as I said, and I keep reiterating, has the right, I believe, because of his stature, to decide when it's time to call quits. Yes, he and BCCI should have had a discussion on this. There I agree with you. But who is going to open the discussion? Who is there to actually have a dialogue on these contentious issues? And that's the problem in Indian cricket, the lack of structures that do not, as a result of which transitions are never smooth in Indian cricket. And I fear that even this transition will not be entirely smooth, although whoever is the new captain has a very easy series to start with, Sri Lanka at home. So that might give